They were making a romantic walk in the country in Languedoc. That's the region we are. And they discover an old house, just the old house over there. And they look to find the owner of this house. And it happened that it was two old lady and one old man who were not married. They were sister and brother, and they were living now in the little town. So nobody was living anymore there. So my parents bought the old house, rebuilt it, and after a few years, it happened. They had many hectares, and they were thinking about what they were going to do with these hectares of land. It wasn't a vineyard. It was actually here it was a moulin, a mill. Le blé, comment on dit le blé? Wheat.
Yeah.
And so you see something very far from the wine. So my dad was thinking, okay, what I'm going to grow? Maybe olive oil, maybe wheat, maybe some cow, some sheep, I don't know. And he had his friend who was a specialist on soil called Henri Anjalbert, who wrote about Saint-Emilion terroir, who studied about the typicity of Burgundy terroir as well. And he came here. He passed one day and he analyzed the soil. And after one day he said, okay, look here, you have a fantastic terroir. Something I believe it's perfect to grow vines. I believe it really looks like what you can find in Burgundy, Côte d'Or type of soil. It's graisse glaciaire. And I advise you to plant Cabernet Sauvignon because Pinot Noir won't be able to handle such a hot weather. Cabernet Sauvignon will handle it, and I believe it will express much better. So that's what happened. My parents listened to what this professor, this teacher, say, and they planted Cabernet Sauvignon in '78. The first vintage come out. It was a red. So '78, as you can see, it's not very old. 33 years ago. If you compare to the history of Languedoc wine, it's nothing. But in terms of quality, we can talk about the revolution of quality in Languedoc. It's the beginning of changement in Languedoc this time, 30 years ago. What happened is there is a second man who come and change the fate of Daumas Gassac. This man, his name is Émile Pénaud. Émile Pénaud is a Bordeaux winemaker, used to be, he's dead, a Bordeaux. He was a professor of the University of Bordeaux. And what happened is, he wasn't a friend of us, of course, we didn't know him, we just read his book. And my parents write to him and say, okay, we are creating a vineyard, we want to do great things, would you like to come and help us? Well, this guy was helping Mouton Rothschild, Latour, and he was more at the end of his career. He was more like retiring. So, and in Languedoc 35 years ago, why would he come here? I mean, he had no reason. The thing is, life is sometimes make the things going well, because the little story is funny. He was at a hairdresser. He was at the same day, Henri Anjalbert, the specialist of soil, was there. And Émile Pénaud just say, oh, there is this crazy Languedoc man who write to me and tell me to come and help me and help them. And Anjalbert, who they know each other, of course. They were both teacher, professor. And he said, oh, but look, are you talking about Mr. and Mrs. Guibert? And he said, yes, you know those crazy people. and it happened that something like, maybe he believed it was a sign, and he made the step of calling and say, okay, I want to see what you are doing. My friend Henri Angelbert told me I have to see once what's happening there, so I will come. And Émile Pénaud, for the 5, 6, 7 first years, has helped and how you say, he has drive my parents, helping them to make the good thing, the right things, and you know, many things are not written in the books. Some things sometimes it's just by the talking you will know it, and that's the chance to have sometimes some professor who can at the beginning advise you, and I would say he make my parents understand that it was they had the opportunity here to build a vineyard without chemical products. That if they continue without chemical products, they will be able to conserve a totally clean area. And 35 years ago, that wasn't totally in the mind of the people. So it was a chance to meet those people, because they were sage. I don't know how you say sage, but they were like priests. I don't know. Well, they help us a lot. And Daumas Gassac finally has an history that is okay. It's in Languedoc, but the philosophy of work is very much influenced by Bordeaux technical for the red, and for the white it's influenced by Aimé Guibert technical. I would say, because it's very special. It's not something you can say it's Burgundy or Languedoc, or it's something very different that I will talk about.
It's an incredible blend.
It's an incredible blend, and as well the technical. It's unusual because no wood, but macération pelliculaire very much. We work a lot with the cold before the fermentation. We macerate the grapes without the wood, but sometimes the maceration can go between 6-7 days, very, very long. We go to oxidation, very long. Yeah, it's something very special. And at the end, we go back to a white wine with no oxidation aroma at all, but an explosion of fruity aroma, grapes aromas. Okay, and no wood at all. And that's wood, I mean barrels. And that's very important, I think, because it's an expression of quality wine without barrels. So it's possible. Okay. We just to tell you here, the cellar has been built, like I say, in an old mill, and this big room under it used to be where the water was taken to make the mill turn. And of course, there is no more water. Now there is a cellar with a steel tank, and we harvest everything by hand. We put a checking table here. We empty every box one by one, and it goes by gravity by this hole in the tanks, and between the hole and the tanks there is a machine which separates the fruit. The steamer. Exactly. So for us it's ideal because it makes the grapes go in the tank without oxidation, because we don't brutalize it. So it's very simple, very natural. Okay, we go in the...
Yes. Why do you have a problem with oxidation at that stage?
I don't say we have a problem of oxidation.
No, because you say that you want to prevent oxidation.
No, maybe it's not what I say. I didn't want to say that. It's when we are at the stage of before the fermentation, we do a macération pelliculaire.
Okay.
Where we find we have a lot of contact with the air at this side, at this stage. And we have the juice, which is usually brown, not much, which nearly becomes dark. And we have we oxidate actually the juice before it ferments. And that's why I say at the end it's interesting, because at the end we don't have any more the eyes of oxidation and the aroma of oxidation at all. It's not a judgment, it's just a fact. But I prefer to not have it if I could choose. I'm sorry? It is sort of. Yeah, it's a sort of.
Because many aromas are present under the precursors form.
Yeah.
They have not very much thiols. But what sort of varieties you identify?
The main varietals are Chardonnay, Viognier, Petit Mansin,
Petit Mansin, there is yours.
and Chenin Blanc. That's the main four.
So when you say you do a skin contact time, like 6 days, 5 to 6 days, 6 to 7 days.
So we,
If we would do that with Riesling, for example, we couldn't drink that anymore because we release so much more polyphenols into the juice and into wine that it would taste only bitter.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem for you?
well, you will test. Well, we believe not.
You believe not? Okay.
No. And I mean, it's. I believe the first time we did it, I think we were all believing it was a disaster. But at the end, when we came back from this point, we saw it wasn't. It was interesting the results. And now it's. But after the maceration, when the fermentation starts, at this point, we try to stop totally the contact with air, of course, because that's much more dangerous.